it's even snowing outside the treehouse today, which is lovely for this Christmas time Jodi Day. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We doing Baker? You look a little different. We substituted a Swede for a Dane today, and
that's an upgrade.
I was going to say you can't hardly tell the difference, but we'll go with yours. It's an upgrade, sure. How you doing today?
Well, I've been working a little on some things behind the scene, and been watching if any trials will start, but everything goes a little slow today.
Well, we have a new trial potentially starting today that you and I are going to tag team, and I don't even know the name of it.
It's Hannah Payne, Georgia v. Hannah Payne. It's a lady who tried to follow a guy who were in a hit and run. She tries to stop him, even though the 911 operator says, "Don't do that." Pulls out her pistol, gets in a kerfuffle. On the 911 call, she says, "He pulled the trigger with my finger." And the NAACP has determined that it was because of her melatonin and the other guy's melatonin levels that she did it. And she claims, well, he accidentally did it herself, or she did it to protect herself.
Yeah. And I'm not, I've seen the allegations. I've seen the complaint and things like that. And I've watched the news reports, which are always accurate. But I don't know where I'm going to come down on this one. I mean, I don't know. Why in the first place would you chase somebody down and then on top of it, pull out the gun and, start blasting kind of thing? It just seems kind of odd to me, but we'll see. That trial is in jury selection right now. I have been in correspondence with people in the courtroom. It sounds like it's not going to get going until 1:30ish today at the earliest, maybe even later, probably later. And then Baker and I are going to tag team that case, as Farrell is so fond of. So, yeah, so that'll be coming up.
It's kind of weird that she likes to be tag teamed by her brother, but
to each their own. Farrell is a different beast. But that's for later, because right now we have our angry little elf. By the way, if you guys haven't seen, Farrell did an awesome rendering of our angry little elf, which I find absolutely amazing. So here's our little angry elf for Christmas time. He is still cross-examining our poor Jodi, and we will continue with that. We have, what do we have? We have, I can't even tell. We have like an hour and some left of this trial. It's at 1.25. Let's see. We have an hour and a half. We have an hour and a half roughly of this trial left. Or not this trial, this day left. And we're going to play it at 1.25. That's been a consistent speed. It's been good. We don't have any subtitles, though, for some reason. But we'll keep going. And if you guys weren't aware, Jodi has been talking about why she unalived Travis in the shower. And the prosecutor's not putting up with any of her BS. And that's essentially where we are. Keep it in the family, I guess. Yes, that's right, Farrell.
I'm out in Western Utah. And you see, Mr. Burns, you did have an injury to your left finger.
We're talking about two different injuries. No.
Oh, yes. They're talking about an injury to her finger, meaning her finger's broken. The ring finger on her right hand is broken. She claims that it happened in January. Before all of this, the prosecution's claiming that it happened when she was unaliving Travis.
Well, ma'am, she just told me when we were talking about this killing that, yes, you injured your left ring finger. Do you remember just telling me that just now, no more than 2 minutes ago?
Yes, I was referring to this injury.
Ma'am, were we really talking about this particular injury at that time?
I didn't know. You were just talking about
you don't know we were talking about the killing, ma'am?
You talked about the injury to my left finger.
What have we been talking about the whole afternoon?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
June 4th.
Pardon?
June 4th.
Right, we haven't mentioned any other date, right?
Not to my recollection.
You've been here throughout these proceedings and you've been answering or you've been asked questions, right?
Yes.
And as we were talking about it just now, I asked you, isn't it true that the only injury as a result of this incident was this injury to your left ring finger? And you said yes. Do you remember saying that?
I might have, but that's not what I meant.
Well, ma'am, you did say it, didn't you?
I don't know.
And in fact, I followed it up by saying, and you didn't seek medical care. Do you remember me asking that?
I thought you meant about my
No, do you remember
skull.
me asking you that?
Yes, I
And
remember.
do you remember that you said, well, not
I'm so
professional medical care?
confused.
Do you remember that?
I was referring to the splint Travis made for my finger.
I know that that's what you're telling me now, but the line of questioning before involved the shooting. That's what we were talking about, right?
Yes, but then you
And
mentioned
Mr.
my
Alex-
finger.
Mr. Alexander was dead after that, wasn't he?
Well, not immediately after that.
No, he grabbed the knife that you stabbed him with, right? So he wasn't dead immediately after that, right?
CTY, welcome.
She says she hasn't remembered.
Restate your question.
It's very argumentative.
And we're
Guys,
talking about Mr. Alexander, an individual
allowed.
that
Yeah,
you
but it's
shot,
like-
right? So it's not
It's
like
like
we're talking
fighting
about him
underwater
providing any medical.
covered with a pillow, because this lady she's not answering anything, and whatever she answers is yes, but.
Yeah, I know. And as I say, these two are like, I'm at one point I was having flashbacks, a little PTSD from arguing with my teenagers. It's very much like that, trying to argue with a teenager. It's extremely frustrating and mind-numbing. But he's not doing any favors because his questions are legitimately confusing sometimes. Like I would have a hard time answering them.
Medical care for you, are we?
That's right.
You're the person who has come in here, at least we know that you've indicated that you did kill Mr. Alexander, correct?
Yes.
The only incident where this could have happened was on June 4th of 2008, right?
Yes.
So this issue of him providing a splint or splinting your finger really doesn't have anything to do with June 4th of 2008, does it?
No.
And you did say that the only injury you received was to your left ring finger on June 4th of 2008, right?
I didn't say that.
Well, yes, you did. And in fact,
No, I
you
didn't.
used the word visible injuries. Do you remember using that term?
Yes, I do.
Argumentative. She said that it's not what she said.
And do you remember that you also indicated, well, I may have had some injuries to my head, right?
Yes.
Those were the only injuries that you sustained on June 4th of 2008. And you remember I asked you about that and you said yes.
That's not how I understood your question.
So then he's down now. And he's to your right. What happens then?
I break away from him and he screams out, "Fucking kill you, bitch."
So then, even though you've already shot
kill
him,
you,
he's been grabbing
bitch.
at you, he does say, "I'll fucking kill you, bitch," right?
I don't think he said "I'll." I just remember those words are in my head. He may have said that, may have not.
Okay,
I just
what are the
remember
words?
"Fucking kill you, bitch."
Let's hear the words one more time so we can get them right.
I heard him say, "Fucking kill you, bitch."
Aren't these the same words that you indicated that you heard when he was doing his pirouette outside of the shower? Fucking kill you, bitches. Aren't they the same words?
I don't think they were the same. He was still screaming at me that when he was coming out.
So then just so that we're clear, what did he say as he's getting out of the shower?
As he's getting out of the shower, he called me a fucking idiot and said, "A fucking 5-year-old can hold a camera better than you."
But then
Well, it's not
when
wrong.
he's down after being shot, he says, "Fucking kill you, bitch," right?
After I broke away from him, right after he screamed
Right.
that out when he
And-
couldn't grab me anymore.
He's trying to grab you and he's still on the floor, but you're able to get away, right?
Yes.
I thought you said that he was this really, remember when you had the conversation with Detective Flores and you told him, well, he's a really strong guy. He's a wrestler in high school. Do you remember saying that?
Yes.
You're saying that you're able to get away from this man who's a wrestler in high school, who's very strong on the ground. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
And then what do you do?
I don't really remember. I just remember, I don't remember anything at that point. So I would be speculating.
So you don't remember a single solitary thing after that, right?
Well, at least you finally got back to that.
There are a few little pieces that have come back since, but not immediately after. I don't remember.
Okay, what is it that the pieces that have come back? Tell me what you remember about this, whatever pieces you remember.
At one point, I remember dropping the knife and screaming.
But that's something that has come to you since, right?
Since, yes,
You
it
don't
came to me
remember
more
that.
recently.
All right, what else?
The others are more vague, so I'm not sure.
If they're vague, then we don't want to hear them.
Yeah.
Where were you standing when you have this recollection of dropping the knife and screaming?
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact position, but I
It's just if they're vague, we don't want to hear them. She's like, yeah. It's just so weird.
It's
was in the back of me.
Oh shit! Sorry, hit the wrong thing. What were we saying?
it's just that she keeps switching between being a toddler and then she tries to be argumentative like a teenager, and then she tries to be a grown up. she's. I still love her, but she has problems.
Well, my thought is, or my question for you and Baker, and not you and Baker, yes, you and Baker, you and Sal, and everyone else that kind of simps on her, and me included, could we tolerate this level of conversation with the woman that we were dating? I would go nuts. I'd go insane.
Yeah, but that's exactly why you have your dream girls, and your dream girls are never your stay girls, because your dream girls are the hot airheads where you think, oh my God, that could be a fun night. But the morning you wake up and first of all, the 2 layers of makeup is gone, and you have to talk to her, and everything she can spout is just, I really like to, maybe like if we maybe sometime down sometime maybe you can text me like, oh, if you don't like to text me, like you have Snapchat and how maybe we could, and you're just standing there thinking, well, hope I didn't get her pregnant, and next time remember to buy her a taxi.
How many women have you been with that I've just, and then like a few days into it, you're like, oh my God, I hope she's not pregnant because I am done with this one. I say a few days in, maybe it's a week for you guys, that are a little more discerning, but I feel like I need to do my 30-point system stream. I need to do it at this point, because exactly what you're talking about is exactly why I have the 30-point system. And when I was in court 2 weeks ago with my client, I was talking to him about it, and I drew it out. At first he was confused. He didn't like it, like some of you guys. And then I drew it out and I explained the different segments and how they work. And he's like, that makes sense. I love it. I'm using it. So I'm going to do this stream. I'm going to do the stream about this. It's coming up this week. At some point we're doing it. Maybe we have some downtime during the Georgia case. I don't know.
Because it hit the tile.
And that's all that you remember with regard to this particular event, correct?
From that point to that point, yes.
I have a system.
Judge, may I approach?
It's a 30-point system, and it's based on looks, and it's all subjective, right? So you start with the looks, and then you categorize them, and then based off of the looks, or not based off the looks, based off the looks, they're in 1 of 3 categories, and then within the categories, based on their personalities or other features
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take the afternoon recess. Please be back in the designated area.
They you move them up and down.
Presence of the jury, the
And
defendant,
so they could be hot, but still not somebody that you want to date for this very reason.
and all counsel, you may continue with cross-examination.
Ma'am, with regard to the killing on June 4th of 2008, it was you that committed that killed Travis Alexander, correct?
Yes,
Nobody else was involved, right?
that's correct.
And in terms of we don't need any more than the fingerprint evidence that we have. You're not disputing that the fingerprint evidence indicates that you were there,
We were
right?
waiting for the judge
That's
to
right.
call the case.
Same thing with the DNA evidence. It was you that was there, right?
Yes,
Ma'am, after this shot rang out, you said that you went into a fog, right?
yes, I began to go, things get foggy after that point.
So with regard to the camera, can you tell us
My
what happened to
system
the
works for
camera?
guys too, Aries.
I don't remember what I did with the camera.
You acknowledge, though, that immediately prior to what you describe as the killing, the camera was right here in this area next to the tub, correct?
That's the last place I saw it rolling. I don't know if it got kicked around or what, I don't know.
But you acknowledge, though,
My
that,
lights on.
take a look at Exhibit 162. First, let's look at the date and time. You acknowledge that this says, or was taken on June 4th, 2008 at 5:32:16, correct?
Yes,
What time was your understanding that the room?
In my Discord, by the way, we have a better image of this photograph. It's really rough on here, but in the better, because this is like projected onto an Elmo and then captured with a television camera, and then it's been cycled through a few broadcasts. But you can clearly see her foot and that stripe on her pant and the zipper in the back. And to the right over here, this is Travis's shoulder with blood, and this is the hallway. And it's actually wider too in the original image, so you could see a lot more. this is a very damning photo because in her interrogation, she says, I can't remember if it's exactly, those are my pants, or I have pants just like that, or something like that, to that effect.
Roommates.
She
At home.
takes us accidentally while
didn't
dragging
know.
the body.
So did you even know if they were there?
Well, she allegedly did the
I don't
unalive,
remember
or
if they were
she
there or
admitted
not
to doing the
at that
unaliving.
time.
Well, do you remember that one of the things that you told us on direct examination was that when there were roommates, the two of you had to be careful.
I have those
in
pants
your
at home. That's what she said
sexual,
exactly. Thank you.
Trysts, so that as not to not awaken, but let the others know what was going on. Do you remember telling us that?
That's correct.
So if this was going on that date, it would be fair to say, based on what you believe, that they were not home, right?
This part of the day,
Yes, this part.
no, I don't think that would have made a difference.
What I'm saying though is when this happened, you believe that there were no roommates there, correct?
I don't know what time they got home. I don't know.
And you are wearing socks, right?
Yes,
And there appears to be a zipper on that foot, correct?
yes,
If we look at this further, to orient ourselves, this is Mr. Alexander's head, correct?
yes,
Blood right there, right?
yes,
And that's his foot, correct?
yes,
And given the way that the lights are in this particular photograph, the bathroom is in this direction, correct?
yes.
She is on the stand, I believe, through day 30. So we have 5 more days on the stand. We're almost done with day 25. So 4.5 days. Her examination, her cross-examination, I should say, which is what's going on right now, ends, I believe, either on day 25, so this day, or it continues very little bit into day 26. But we get to redirect on day 26, and then there's 2 full days of jury questions.
And you would agree with me that if the camera, Exhibit 249, was last seen here, you see that?
Yes,
And things happen the way you say they happened, we now have this photograph that you were the one that moved that camera, right?
it could have been us both. I don't know, remember moving it.
Well, based on what you tell us, there's this gunshot that rings out, right?
Yes,
And then you don't remember anything, right?
I didn't say that. I said it got foggy after that point. The point where I can't remember anything is after he said, after he threatened my life.
What's that?
After he threatened my life.
Well, what is it that he said?
Fucking kill you, bitch.
So after that, after fucking kill you, bitch, you don't remember anything else, right?
No, not except the one thing that I described.
Right. But you do remember, though, that as you ran down this hallway, you were not carrying the camera with you, right?
No, not the first time I ran down the
No,
hallway.
of course not. You were concerned for your life, you told us, right?
Yes,
And you told us that the camera landed next to the tub, right?
yes,
And so if this
Yeah, in
photograph
Arizona,
was snapped
apparently
at
they
the time
did.
that we've agreed that it's snapped, and the camera, the last time you see it, is next to the tub, and then you describe what happens, that Mr. Alexander is down next to the tub, then it was you that moved that camera, right?
Sustained.
With regard to Mr. Alexander, ma'am, the last memory that you have of him is that he was down on the ground, correct?
yes,
And the last memory that you have of him is after you shot him, right?
yes.
You never saw him walking around, did you?
No, I didn't.
And so if you didn't, assuming he didn't get up and walk around, and assuming you did shoot him, and assuming that the camera is where you told us that it was, then this camera, to take this photograph, had to be moved, right?
Yeah, it had to be moved.
And you would acknowledge that you did the moving, right?
Objection. Regulation. She said over and over again, she doesn't remember.
Overruled. You may answer.
Only under that theory. That would be right.
Well, you see him right there, ma'am, Mr. Alexander?
Yes,
No, take a look at it.
I've already seen it.
All right. Are you saying that in the condition that Mr. Alexander is in exhibit number 162, and you were there, it's your opinion that he, in that condition, could move the camera?
I'm not saying that.
So you did move the camera, right?
Again, objection. Argumentative. She's already said she doesn't know what happened afterwards.
Overruled.
I don't know.
And that camera ended up, as we now know, in a washing machine, right? You know that, right?
Yes,
you have this horrible incident that happens upstairs, and the camera's being used to photograph Mr. Alexander, right?
In the shower, yes.
Right. And then the cameras drop, and then we see the photographs here. You would acknowledge then, ma'am, that under those set of facts, it was you who put that camera in the washing machine.
Yes.
Because
Yes. I don't remember, but that would be logical.
Sure, because Mr. Alexander never left the upstairs bathroom, right?
I think that's right.
And you would acknowledge, ma'am.
Wait, hold that up. What is this?
It's Jamie. Does it look like it used to do? Jamie and I are working on another grift.
I see. I was wondering what you were drawing down there.
And that if you did that,
Well, it's all that talk about peens when
it
Sally's
would be an
around.
indication from you. At least you're saying that you're in a fog and that you don't remember, but it would be certainly an indication of your mental state back then that you picked up that camera and put it in the washing machine, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And it would be an indication, ma'am, that you knew what happened.
Yes, I guess.
Oh yeah, by the way, if you guys are watching on either of our streams, the other stream, we're dual streaming between Nick and myself. And so there's a link to our channels pinned at the top of our streams. And you can go ahead and jump over and give us both likes. That would be greatly appreciated. You can, since Nick is not here, you can super chat and member gift and do all that good stuff on my end too. So I get like a clean sweep since Nick is has failed to grace us with his presence, and we're stuck with the Dane today.
And just to show the mission gander that the only place to be is at Nick's chat, go over here and support Nick. I'm your second favorite Scandinavian, but still.
I just muted you.
And
I
it would
don't know
also,
why it went in the washing machine.
and ma'am, we know that this photograph was deleted from the camera, correct?
Correct.
We know that he's dead after this, right?
After this, yes.
And we know, as you just told us, that there was nobody else there, that no roommates were there, right?
Yes.
So if he's dead, no roommates are there, this photograph is snapped and it's deleted, you're the one that
look at that.
deleted it, aren't you?
We got dual. So Bass super chatted 1999 for Santa Claus and Jingles over on Nick's channel. Thank you very much, Bass. And I know Nick appreciates it as well. And then Farrell gifted 5 memberships over to Making Law Simple. Thank you very much. She did this just so I would read the names. However, I know most of these names. Fast Group, Moni Mani. I kind of know her name. Nikki, Blue Hair Bible Lady. Parabellum. Oh, Parabellum. Got it. And Lolita Smiles. Oh, we're gifted memberships. Thanks to Farrell. And yes, please join us over on Discord. All you new members, there's a link under my member tab. And just tag Farrell and let her know what your YouTube name is, and we'll get you all set up.
That would make sense. I don't remember deleting it.
I'm not asking you if you remember now. I'm not asking that at all. I'm asking you, given the circumstances that we have here, you're the one that
You know
deleted
she
it,
gifted
right?
on Nick's channel,
I
right?
would have to say yes.
And in
I should do
fact,
No, she gifted on my channel.
Oh, she gifted on yours. Well,
Yeah.
I was on the wrong chat.
Well, it's it doesn't distinguish. Oh no, it does distinguish here, but it doesn't. Yeah, you got to look at the chats. Yeah, so Bass super chatted, and Farrell gifted. So we have dual. So we're even right now, except I'm winning on likes. Shh, don't tell Nick.
deleting something is not a once, giving your expertise in cameras and photography, deleting something is not a one-step process, right?
That's correct.
And you were not familiar with this camera, were you?
Not prior to June 4th, correct.
And so what this required you to do is, and I understand that you're going to say that you don't remember, I'm not asking that, but wouldn't you acknowledge then that it took some mechanical movement and thinking, and mechanical movement, I mean fingers, and some thought process on your part in order to delete these images, right?
Okay, so she did try to delete that photo. There was a question about that, and I thought that that was one that was saved. So she did try to delete this photo. So she's consciously aware of what's going on enough to delete that photo. I think her ship is sunk. I don't know. What do you think, Baker?
Well, I think that her ship was sunk long ago because she's just so unlikable for the jury, and that's my biggest problem. The more she talks, the less I like her, and I like her a lot to begin with. But still, I'm at the point where I won't even fight Sal over her.
Yes, Christine. We have Georgia v. Hannah Payne starting at 1:30 today. I don't know if the court feed is going to be live yet because they're still doing jury selection as of right now. I'm supposed to get an update from a man on the inside as to when they go live, and then we'll bring it live. And then Baker and I will be continuing covering this case. Oh, I did send an email out to you, Baker. They expect it to go at least until Friday, but probably no later than like Monday or Tuesday for that.
Yeah, I read that. Oh, and Christine is going to cover it too, I think. So we have a little competition, friendly competition.
All right. There's nothing wrong with competition. It helps us all improve.
Exactly.
I would agree with that.
And you would agree that the deleting these items from the camera was not in any way necessary for you to do prior to leaving Mr. Alexander's home?
I don't understand what you mean.
Well, there is nothing, you acknowledge that there is nothing that was pressing about or threatening about the camera that required you to delete these images, right?
I don't know what you
Except
mean.
that it, it contained evidence of my guilt.
In order for you to delete them, ma'am, you have to view them, don't you?
Yes.
Have we any explanation why
If
it
you
ended
view
up in
them,
the...
then the
this,
decision is
in
made.
the
And I know you're going to say I don't remember,
machine?
but you acknowledge then that a decision.
Sorry, what was that?
Have we any explanation why it ended up in her washing machine?
No, because she doesn't recall. She blacked out.
Oh.
So, but for her blacking out, we would have all these answers. But she deleted the photos and then threw the camera with the memory card in the washing machine. And they were able to recover everything except for like maybe one or two videos, short videos that were taken. But they believe the videos were of the smexy times and not of the unaliving anyways.
Is made by you to delete this photograph, right?
There must have been, yes.
And you would agree then that if the police don't find this photograph, that would be beneficial to you, wouldn't it? In terms of your culpability involving Mr. Alexander's death.
I would not agree with that.
Okay? Exhibit number 160. So you think this helps you in your
I
case?
don't agree with that either.
163.
See, look how Farrell treats me, and then she plays victim.
There are that's the floorboard, would you agree?
Yes.
And this is the hallway
Maybe
that
she
you
doesn't
claim that you
want
ran
to watch
down,
it with
correct?
me.
Yes, that's the one.
And that would mean that this up here would be Mr. Alexander, correct?
Yes.
And that reddish substance would be blood, right?
Yes.
And again, if we apply the same analysis that we did before,
Oh, definitely
you would
was,
know the
Justin.
person who deleted this photograph was you.
Yeah, I guess.
There
I
were
wish we would have gotten to this part in the trial before Halloween because I have a perfect costume. It would have involved the mayonnaise and a black wig.
other things that were done to the scene. Take a look at exhibit number 67.
Good afternoon,
followed by
atheist.
Exhibit 68. You see 67?
Yes.
There is blood there, isn't there, ma'am?
Yes.
That's not your blood, right?
I don't think my blood is there.
That would be Mr. Alexander's blood, right?
Yes.
And you would agree that to the right of that, it appears that there is a more, if you will, different pattern. In other words, the pattern on the right is not as dark as the one on the left, right?
Yes.
And ma'am, you would agree that if you had socks on, and which we know that you did, and you were walking through blood, that this would be the kind of pattern that your socks would leave, right?
I don't know.
Was wearing socks at that time.
I'm not sure.
Take a look at exhibit 130. You see that?
Yes.
Would you agree then that we've seen the photograph, and that's exhibit number 162? And if we look at, this is exhibit 162. Do you see it?
Yes.
And you told us that to this end over here is the bathroom. Over here, do you see that?
Yes.
And if we look at this exhibit, which is 130, you would agree that the bathroom is in this direction, correct?
Yes.
So that if his foot that we were looking
You
at,
guys see that? That was a lot of blood. I want to back that up.
this
It's kind of dark.
exhibit, which is
Well, I guess it looks like less there. But still, that's kind of a lot of blood. And it's all down the hallway. And Indigo gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Indigo. Let's see who got them. Dave, who has a wrench on my channel and when needed to be gifted a membership, just saying. Sean Bird, Vermillionaire, Yamaha Biker, and Donna T were all gifted memberships. Thank you very much, Indigo. Yeah. I'm clearing out a computer for Jamie. This thing is making grinding noises. I don't know what it's doing, but hopefully it works.
130, you would agree that the bathroom is in this direction, correct?
Yes.
So that if his foot that we were looking at would be right about where my pen is, or right in front of that door, right?
Yes.
And the door that's behind it is the door that you claim was the door that he was banging his head on back on August 7th of 2000, I'm sorry, in August of 2007, right?
Yes.
And you would agree, ma'am, that if this is the pattern that we have here, and his head is in this direction, as we see it in the picture, then because of the way the blood is flowing down, this is where his head was resting, right here.
I don't know, I guess.
He would not be the person that would be leaving these marks here to the right, would he? Because he wasn't standing, was he?
Objection. She's already said she has no memory. It would call for speculation.
Stand.
162, is he standing there, ma'am?
No.
Would you acknowledge that based on everything that you know, he's not going to?
So, in theory, cross-examination has a lot of leading questions, which essentially involves the attorney testifying and the witness confirming that testimony, if you want to speak of it practically. So, isn't it true that you did this, 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 and this? Yes. Okay. So that's essentially the attorney testifying with the witness confirming it. That's kind of how cross goes.
Stand after that.
Yes, you know, speculation.
I would be very inclined to agree with that.
Yes. Did I turn off the 0.25? No, it's at 0.25 still. I would be inclined to agree with that.
You told us, ma'am, that
Yes, he's always
there
answering.
was just this
That's a weird
shooting.
way.
Yeah, okay. So if you don't know, don't say, yeah, that sounds about right to the information that condemns you. To say, I don't know. I don't know. You know, her defense attorney keeps objecting, saying she doesn't know, yet she continues to answer the questions. It's really bad.
When he was coming at
For
you
her.
from the bathroom, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, from the closet, my mistake.
Yes.
And that as he came at you, then you showed us the pose, and then according to you, the shooting happened, right?
Yes.
You would agree, ma'am, that the shooting where it occurred is not near what is pictured in Exhibit 98, correct?
Yes.
You weren't bleeding, even though you said that you had an injury to your left ring finger, you weren't bleeding that profusely to put all this blood here, right?
Iris,
No,
did
my
you
left ring finger wasn't bleeding at all, so
So the answer
on
is
day
no.
like
that's
23?
correct.
That is
Oh, I
not
gotta
your blood,
find it.
right?
No, I don't think it is.
And again, based on what we know, what you know about this case, and based on the fact that you acknowledge you've done the shooting and acknowledging that that was your foot in this photograph, you would have to agree that a person would have to be standing, or Mr. Alexander would have to be standing for that blood to be placed there, right?
Yes, you know, so speculation.
I would think. Yes, I would think that.
Ma'am, one of the things that happened, or that was found on the body, was a glass. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Now, before the murder, there was no glass up in the bathroom, right?
It was under the sink.
It was under the sink then, right?
Yes.
So then you would agree that if it was under the sink before the murder, and it was found on top of him after the murder, you would agree that you were the person. You would acknowledge
Did I
that you were the
remove you?
person that went.
No, it my Chrome just crashed.
Oh, okay. I was just working away, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, he's in the background. What happened? I'm like, did I hit something wrong? Yeah. What did I do? I don't know.
Underneath the sink, got the glass, correct?
I would acknowledge that.
And you would acknowledge that you used that glass to try to clean up or the floor of that bathroom.
I don't know what I did with it.
If there were lots of water in the bathroom after the killing, for example, if you take a look at exhibit number 118, do you see that? The watermarks here?
Yes.
You would acknowledge that these watermarks in red colored blood, or what appears to be blood, you would acknowledge that you're the person that created
Hey, Vielhammer.
those marks, correct?
Yes.
And you would also acknowledge, ma'am, that these reddish spots here are Mr. Alexander's blood, right?
Yes.
Which would indicate that he was in that area bleeding, correct?
Yes.
And
She's
exhibit
faking.
125 shows us a relationship between the closet to the right, correct?
Yes.
The closet to the left, correct?
Yes.
And the end of the hallway into the bedroom, right?
Yes.
And ma'am, you would agree if we've now seen that there was staining 128 here. Do you see that? And it's concentrated there. You see that?
Yes.
And we've heard that it was nowhere else in the top floor in that bedroom. And we also know that you were the only one walking around in 162 wearing socks. You see that?
Yes.
You would acknowledge, ma'am, that prior to walking out from here and leaving, you would acknowledge that you took those socks off, correct?
I don't know.
Well, you would acknowledge that there is no blood anywhere else other than in this area here. Do you see that?
Yes.
So you would acknowledge that if you did have blood on your socks and there was water on the floor and you were walking in it, you would acknowledge that there may be, based on whatever experience you have, there may be other blood throughout wherever it was that you stepped.
Objection, anyone calls for speculation.
Overruled. You may answer.
Can you please repeat that?
You would acknowledge that you took your socks off before you walked into the bedroom.
I don't know.
Because you knew. I'm not saying that you remember it, because you knew that they had blood on them and you didn't want to get the rest of the bedroom dirty.
She said she doesn't remember even removing her socks.
Sustained.
I did, but it was last year.
Ma'am, you did leave the house though, didn't you?
Yes.
You would acknowledge that.
Brandon, on this note, who is the expert sending stuff to in Beverly Hills? That's what I want to know. Expert pulled up his Amazon on Valhalla Awaits stream, and it said he was sending stuff to Beverly Hills, California, 90210. It's like, who's he sending stuff to there? I suspect he's secretly supporting the captain.
You left,
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
Of course.
That's what I believe. Everyone spread that rumor.
And you would acknowledge that there is no record anywhere in Arizona of you ever being in Arizona other than this killing, right?
No, I disagree with that.
Well, are there receipts, for example, from the places that you filled up with gas?
No, at one time there would have been surveillance video, but no.
You think there was surveillance video, okay? Isn't it true, ma'am, that as you drove out of Arizona, one of the things that you did was that you used the gasoline in those 3 cans?
Are you talking about the reason why the judge keeps overruling the defense objections with regard to she doesn't know? It's because she keeps answering the questions. If her response was continuously, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I think the judge would eventually have stopped that. But she continuously answers the questions. So the judge is going to allow her to answer.
To put in your car.
Objection, mischaracterizes the testimony. She said she had 2 cans.
Overruled.
Will you repeat that? I'm sorry.
You would
I knew you
acknowledge,
guys
ma'am,
did.
that in Arizona, you filled up the car from the 3 gas cans that were in your possession filled with gas?
I didn't have 3 gas cans in my possession.
And do you remember in Pasadena that there were 3 separate transactions? Do you remember that?
Yes,
There was one at the pump. Do you remember that?
yes,
There was also one inside the store, if you will. Do you remember that one?
yes,
For approximately 10 gallons. You remember that, right?
yes,
And then there was another transaction inside the store. You acknowledge that, right?
yeah, that was the 2 gallons or something.
Right, 2.7 gallons, right?
Yes,
There were 3 transactions in Pasadena, correct?
yes,
You acknowledge that there are 2 gas cans that Mr. Brewer gave you, correct?
yes,
And you acknowledge that you bought 1 gas can from Walmart, right?
yes,
I understand that you say that you returned it, but you did have, at least at some point, you acknowledge, have 3 gas cans, right?
yes, in Salinas I did.
Pardon?
In Salinas I did.
And so the gas that you had in those gas cans, you placed in your car in Arizona, right?
No, I didn't need to do that.
Well, ma'am, do you remember that you told us on direct examination that the next time that you could remember anything was when you were way out in the middle of the desert?
That's correct.
And do you remember the testimony of Detective Larry Gladish, who indicated that the phone call to Mr. Alexander's telephone was 57 miles north of Kingman? Do you remember that?
No, but okay, I'll assume he said that.
But you do remember that you testified that you were out in the middle of the desert, right?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember that you said that you stopped, right?
I just love this image so much.
Yes,
And do you remember that you said, well, I got rid of the gun, right?
yes,
So you would acknowledge, ma'am, that even though immediately after this killing happened, you say you went into a fog. Do you remember saying that?
it was in a.
Yes, he can. Absolutely. And he should have. Like, objections have essentially 2 purposes. One, you need to preserve the record. Well, 3 purposes. One could be just to preserve the record, even though you know the judge is going to deny it. 2 is to actually get the judge to grant your objection and sustain it, and then, not go into this line of questionings. And 3 is to control the situation, control the appearance in front of the jury, have a pause so that your client can recover for a minute, take a breath, things like that. So there's really 3 ways you use objections, and he's not using them in any effective way.
And just to answer Brandon, so far the expert corner kisser on my channel has been Lefty. He's provided me more corner kisses than anyone else.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Lefty's good. He disappeared for a while and came in hot on your channel.
Yeah, he's hot. I'm almost raw.
Lefty is very hot.
You were in a fog, right? And one of the things that we know from your own admission was that there was a gun that was involved, right?
Yes,
That's what you used to shooting, right?
Yeah, I had said this before, totally, Pip. I think his line of questioning was appropriate for this witness. I think there are times, though, where he loses track of where he is. He gets sidetracked a little bit. Sometimes he listens too much to her and gets sidetracked. Sometimes he doesn't listen enough. And I think he's just kind of getting out ahead of himself. But I do agree that the approach is probably what's needed for her. I think, send Baker some corner kisses. Do we have a link for Baker's corner kisses? Can we put that in the chat? I hate this. There we go.
yes,
And so this gun, you tell us, you took it out to the desert, didn't you?
yes,
You were the one that removed it from the house, right?
yes,
If you weren't,
So Baker has a what is it? Buy Me a Coffee is the website, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's like Buy Me a Coffee. It's essentially it's a way to gift money to people. Baker has one, except instead of coffee, he doesn't want coffee. He wants corner kisses, so you can buy him a corner kiss.
Yeah, and it's just it's because in the Karen Tyler case, there was a guy who was in love with a lesbian woman, and he was only allowed to kiss her on the corner of her mouth. So I made a stupid drawing of a corner kisser, and Lefty just supported me again with 3 more corner kisses.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Lefty. You're going on the board.
And Baker has a board behind him, his board of honor. I may or may not be on there. Farrell definitely is not on there. She's in the Hall of Shame, not the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's not entire wall. That's just Farrell.
You know what's funny is I asked my wife after that trial. I asked her for a corner kiss, and she knew exactly what it was. She didn't watch the trial, but she knew. It's like, oh, okay, it's like a little, it's like a kiss right here. No, it said lefty. No, it
Yeah,
said lefty.
it said Lefty question mark bought you 3 corner kisses and said no. So
What I suspect might have happened is Brandon's little trick backfired on him, and Lefty got the credit.
should I change this, Brandon?
No,
Was it you again?
No, it was Lefty.
Didn't know what was going on. If you were in a fog, man, which means that you don't know the status of your current events or the status of what's going on,
Just to prove I'm not lying.
would you agree
see anything because of the light?
that there would be no need
Lefty
to take
question
the
mark
gun?
bought you 3 corner kisses.
Wait, hang on. What's it say? Lefty question mark bought me 3 corner kisses. All right.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
can't
Lefty
see it
bought
because
you
of
3
the light.
corner. That's okay.
So
I take your word for it. Lefty bought you 3 more corner kisses. I'm good with that.
Lefty question mark.
I have an update on our Georgia case. No significant developments thus far. The state and defense have both concluded their questioning of the second panel of prospective jurors. They're now individually questioning those roughly 6 who have consumed media coverage. The panelists who did not indicate they consumed media coverage about the case have been released for lunch and asked to return back at 4 p.m. The first panel of 15 that was selected and dismissed yesterday are ordered to be back at 1:30 p.m. where they will do individual questioning of them. I am starting to question if we'll get to opening statements today.
Thank you, Brandon.
This is an update on the case. So we are most likely not having the Georgia v. Hannah Payne case starting today. Just FYI, I know I still have my post up there for 1:30. I'm going to keep monitoring this as we go, but I'm pretty sure it sounds like if the other jurors are not coming back till 4, then we're not going to have opening statements. If we do, it's not going to be until 4, and I doubt they would start that. Wait, hang on.
Again, something went wrong, Brandon, but thank you so much for the kisses.
Lefty bought 3. It wasn't from Brandon.
Well,
I bought it.
I believe Brandon. When he said he bought it, he bought it.
Well, so there's 2 sets of lips, right? On a lady. It could be the other corner of the lips.
If you were unaware of your status,
I would not agree with that.
even though you're in a fog, there's a decision, a knowing decision, a voluntary movement that is made to take the gun on your part, right?
I think you're getting fog confused. My memory was in a fog. I don't remember what happened after that.
Are you talking about Jodi, or are you talking about Hannah Payne? Because Hannah Payne was made an offer. Yeah, and they countered with 5 years, and the state said no, so they're off to trial. Who would take a plea to life? Sorry, what was that?
Her counter was 5 years.
5 years. Her counter was 5 years on essentially an involuntary manslaughter kind of thing. 5 years, and the state said no, so they're off to trial. They think they have a good case on sort of a self-defense kind of argument, I suppose, or they're feeling really confident about your case. Like when you're talking plea offers, you might start with your lowest offer, like whatever, dismiss, right? I always walk in and be like, just dismiss my client, the charges against my client. I'd be happy. But at some point you start reaching closer to the middle if it's really kind of close on both ends. I have a feeling the defense thinks that their case is strong if they're only saying give her 5 years. I think that they're betting on a self-defense or at the very least, like sort of an aggravated provocation of her, and maybe it's an involuntary manslaughter kind of thing.
Yeah, because I believe the witnesses confirmed there was a struggle.
Yes, that's what I hear too. And so the defense has to be thinking of a strong position, making that offer from a strong position. You don't make that offer from a weak position
No, if
the day
there's
before trial.
3 videos with you shouting the N-word while pointing a gun at a car, you don't go in there and say, well, 5 years should be enough.
I feel like there's more to the story that we're not necessarily seeing.
It's, of course, there's
So-
always more to the story.
I start my negotiations with I only have authority to settle for limits. Yeah, I mean, well, I do too. Like I might tease it out there. I'll be like, listen, I only have authorization for X, but if I can talk my client into Y, will your client take it? And I sometimes do that, but I don't start there. And maybe they went in there saying, listen, my client's telling me to go to trial, but if you offer her manslaughter with 5 years, I can maybe get her to take it. That could be the position. It wasn't really clear on how the offer was made, right? We just know that there was an offer, a counter offer rather.
Yeah.
But it's either way, it sounds like this trial is not, opening statements are not starting today. So I don't want everyone to think I'm going to go live at 1:30. If I don't like, I'm not Baker, I don't have his qualities. As try as I might, I can't sit and talk about nothing until maybe at some point a trial will start. I have to sort of be prepared. So if there's no trial, I'm probably not going to go at 1:30. But I'll keep the stream up and I'll just keep pushing it back. And if we go live, we'll go live. And hopefully everyone in Discord if you get notifications on YouTube, we'll go.
So my qualities are, as you just heard, I'm never prepared. I'm just turning on the camera and hoping Jamie flickers her lovely lashes and everything will go fine.
I feel like you're more of a people person than I am. You could just sit there and I want to talk to everybody all the time. And he's so nice. And Baker is the nicest on YouTube and the most humble as well. And I just don't have those qualities. What's the trial we speak of? So this is the Georgia v. Hannah Payne case. So apparently she was a witness to a car accident where a 65-year-old black gentleman hit a tractor trailer, semi-truck, and then proceeded to drive off. And Hannah Payne decided to follow him, blocked him in. The scuffle ensued. She may or may not have used the N-word, the South Park N-word, not the network television N-word. And then some pew-pews were made, and the 65-year-old black gentleman was killed. She claims self-defense. The state is claiming that she's racist and did it out of hate, anger, whatever. So that's the trial that is currently in jury selection. Oh, look at that. Peach Pony.
Peach Peony with 5 corner kisses, and it's my pleasure to make you laugh.
The other N-word, Justin. All right. So that's the case we're talking about. That was supposed to start today at 1:30, but I'm getting word from the courtroom that they're not calling the rest of the jury back until 4. So
no, and we talked about the Texas attorney who Georgia attorney who pew-pewed his wife in the back. That got delayed.
Okay.
That was supposed to start today as well.
Yes. This one. Nagger.
People who annoy you.
People who annoy you. Yes. So those are the 2 trials that we were like kind of watching and working on this week. The one's going, it's in jury selection. Who knows? It might all fall apart. The guy that I have in the courtroom that's messaging me, I don't have him. He's gracious enough to keep me updated as a fellow member of the media. And he's looking like this isn't going to go today. That's what he's saying. And he's in there listening.
Can you make me a media member? Because I can't be a media member in Denmark without you want to be a member of a union.
You want me to make you an official affiliate of MLS?
Just send me a press pass saying I'm a part-time reporter so I have a press pass. Then I can always call them up because I can't get a press pass in Denmark.
It will be in the mail by the end of the day.
I can be your foreign correspondent, so I could get to all the political stuff and then say, hey, foreign correspondent. And talking about foreign correspondents, thank you, Tootly, for the 3 corner kisses. And
Nice.
It's very much appreciated.
Thank you very much. Jumping over and hitting that like button if you want it mine. And if you're watching my stream, Nick's stream is linked at the top of the chat as well. You can jump over and give him a like. And then come back over and give me all the membership gifts and whatever you want on my end. That would be great.
Those things.
Well, while we're working all that out, and I'm working on Baker's press pass, we'll continue with Jodi trial.
I'm not asking you if you remember that. Please, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking whether you acknowledge that you removed the gun from the crime scene.
Yes,
And you do acknowledge that if you're in a fog about everything, not just certain specific things, right?
I don't know.
Well, it's your fog.
Is that a question?
Yes, it is a question, isn't it?
What is it?
It's your fog, isn't it?
Yes.
And with regard to this particular fog that you are in, why would you even think of taking the gun unless you really knew what was going on?
I could only speculate because I don't remember.
If you were in a fog and you didn't know what you were doing, why take the gun, man?
Argumentative.
I don't remember taking the gun. I remember throwing the gun.
All right, throwing the gun. If you remember throwing the gun, you remembered where the gun came from, don't you?
I recognized it as Travis's gun, yes.
I know you say that it's Travis's gun, but shortly before embarking on this trip to Mesa, Arizona on May 28th of 2008, your grandfather had a .25 caliber gun taken during a burglary, right?
Yes.
And you knew about that, right?
I found out after I got back into town.
The answer is yes, you did know, didn't you?
Yes, afterward.
You did know on May 28th of 2008 that there was a burglary at your grandfather's house, correct?
Yes.
And you're telling us that on June 4th, or after the murder, you stop at the side of the road, right?
Yes.
And according to you, you have one of the implements that was used to kill Mr. Alexander, correct?
Yes.
If you didn't think that you had done anything wrong, and you were in this fog that you weren't thinking, why get rid of it? Why get rid of it?
I never said I didn't think didn't do anything wrong.
Oh, so you acknowledge then that you believe that you did something wrong with regard to Mr. Alexander then, right?
I believe that something
Yes or no?
very bad had happened.
Yes or no, ma'am?
I'm not, how did you word that again?
Do you believe that you did something wrong with regard to Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
And that belief that you had was with you on the side of the road to the point that you got rid of the gun, right?
Well, I just threw it, so yeah.
You did get rid of the gun, right?
Yes.
And this knowing that you had done something wrong was preceded by your removing the gun from the crime scene, right?
Yes.
So you would agree then that at the crime scene, you knew that what you had done was wrong, correct?
I would say that would be accurate, but I don't remember.
And you were trying to alter the crime scene, weren't you?
It appears that way.
Well, no. Based on what you
It
know,
appears that way.
there was an altering of the crime scene. was
Don't
it?
answer the question if
Yes.
you don't
The gun
know.
was taken, right?
Yes.
And we know that you took it, right?
Yes.
And
also know
Brandon
that,
came in with 6
there was
more
no
kisses.
knife.
Thank you so much, Brandon.
All this grifting to Baker. You
Well,
need to come on my Jodi streams more often.
it's because Brandon and I, we could probably finally meet up because I'm told I'll be going to Dollywood. And Brandon and I are going to a tailgate when I come to the US.
Yeah, in May.
It's
Is that May? Yeah, that's May.
yeah.
That was found up in the
Is
bathroom
there
area,
any
right?
football in May?
Yes.
So we know that.
No, there's
You took it,
soccer,
right?
but no football.
I don't remember having the knife at all
So
afterward.
there's football.
But there was no knife up there, right?
I haven't heard any testimony about that. So I would,
You would acknowledge, ma'am, that Exhibit 193, that Mr. Alexander was stabbed. You would acknowledge that, right?
yes.
And you would acknowledge that that stabbing was with a knife, right?
Yes.
And according to your version of events, You would acknowledge that that stabbing was after the shooting, according to you, right?
I don't remember.
I'm not asking you if you remember, man. I'm asking if you acknowledge that it would be you that did it, correct?
Yes.
And you would acknowledge that a lot of the stab wounds, and if you want, we can count them together, including the ones to the head, were to the back of the head and to the back of the torso, correct?
Okay. I don't
No,
want
I
to
don't-
count them. I don't know. I'll just take your word for it.
Would you like to take a look at the photograph?
No.
Is she faking?
So if he is being stabbed in the back, would you acknowledge at that point that he's no threat to you, right?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
I don't know.
Well, if he's already been shot, according to you, and he's facing away from you, how could he possibly be any threat to you?
I could only guess. I don't know what you're asking me.
Well, with regard to you were here when the medical examiner testified about the wound to the throat. Do you remember that?
Yes.
With regard to that wound, ma'am, you would acknowledge that that was, in terms of the stab wounds, you would acknowledge that that was the last
Thank you
wound
for
in
the
sequence of
9
events.
corner kisses this time, Brandon.
Remember.
And
Wow, look at you go.
I owe you the first
Overruled.
book.
That wasn't
She acknowledged the sequence of the stabs, that she doesn't know doesn't have any memory of them.
That wasn't the question. Overruled. You may answer the question.
Are you talking about his testimony?
Yes.
I disagree with the sequence of events.
Would you agree that you're the person who actually slit Mr. Alexander?
Nice.
Why
I take
don't
credit for it though, anyways.
why do you use that Esquire? What does it mean?
I don't know what Esquire means. It means attorney, or I am licensed. I have a law degree. It's like because there was a pushback from medical doctors. They didn't want, even though I have a doctorate degree, they don't want me using the word doctorate. So they said use Esquire instead. I have no idea what it means.
His throat from ear to ear.
It's just some attorneys use it, but
Yes.
not all.
Would you also agree that you're the individual that stabbed him in the upper torso?
I put a poll up, by the way, in my chat. Is Jodi faking?
Yes.
Oh, wait, I'll be right back.
And you're doing all of this according to your version of events. You're doing this to this individual.
And Iris, this
after
will
you
go
have
to the
already shot him,
Dollywood
right?
Foundation.
Yes.
Correct?
I believe so.
Well, no. Do you remember previously talking to us about how he was coming at you and he was this horrible man with his mean face? Do you remember telling me that?
Yes, I didn't say he was horrible.
Okay. Good. Thank you for correcting me, but do you remember telling us that he was a mean man?
Not today.
Well,
Not today.
previously you did say that he was a mean man, correct?
I think I did, yes.
And on this particular occasion, you told us that he was cursing at you, right?
Yes.
And that he threw you down, right?
Yes.
That he chased you down, right?
Yes.
And this is the individual that you shot first, right?
I didn't know if I shot him. I just clearly got it off.
The gun went off.
Why can't
right?
you see
can
the
at least
poll?
acknowledge that.
Yes.
That's something that you did here, correct?
Yes.
Now, one of the things that we also know is that there was this rope that was involved earlier in the evening or in the day at 1 o'clock. Do you remember telling us about that, about 1:30?
Yes.
And it involved this sexual interlude with you and Mr. Alexander, right?
Yes.
And you told us that it went behind the headboard.
Yes.
The police did not find a rope there, correct?
Yes.
You took that rope, didn't you?
Yes.
Why would you take that rope, ma'am, if you were in the fog?
I don't know. I don't remember taking it.
The rope, according to you, didn't have anything to do with the killing, did it?
No, not that I remember.
Well, but you acknowledge that there was this rope that was taken, right?
Yes.
Don't you also acknowledge that you were the one that threw it away?
Yes.
So then you would acknowledge that you're the person that took it, right?
Yes.
And even though you were in this fog, as you call it, you knew as you're walking in this fog to go looking around for this particular rope, as you say, right?
I don't know.
Well, you did say that you did take it, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you remember where you threw it away, right?
Well, that's fun to know.
I think it was in a dumpster.
Right.
Hey,
You said you
Jessica
threw it
B.
away in a dumpster, right?
Yeah.
Well, we just had 3 days where
Other than
you
that,
couldn't
it would
see
show that
likes
you
on
had
your
been there, man.
on channels.
You had what?
I could, whenever I hit like, it said 0 like, no matter which channel I was on. And today I was back to the one where you couldn't have the frame rate and you had to restart so it looks like they're working on an update again.
Baker, you want to do the honors?
Good evening, genitals.
He does it so much better than me. I try to do it. I can't. So
Well,
Baker's
I'm
just
more fond of my genitals than you are.
apparently. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the YouTubes and all of that. Some of the stuff, and my StreamYard wasn't working for a couple of days on my laptop. It wouldn't let me. It wouldn't connect any cameras or sound or anything. It was really weird. So I wasn't hopping on any channels or anything. I don't know what's going on. Everything they did an update and everything went crazy. But welcome, genitals. Oh, by the way, I wanted to stop you here too. If you notice the icon in the lower left corner, that is added by Vielhammer Media, who remastered all this sound, and his channel is linked in my description. If you like the quality of the sound, he has a bunch of trials, including OJ and Zachariah Anderson, and a bunch of trials that he's remastered the sound to. He's also been working with us to remaster sound on the fly during live streams, which is absolutely amazing. So I'm hopefully you guys can all go give him a sub, give him a like, watch some of his videos, and support his channel because he's been doing a lot to help us.
Why take the rope and then get rid of it?
I don't know. Maybe for that very reason. I don't know.
So you did take the rope then. You also changed clothing, right?
I think I did. I don't.
Well, you said that you pulled off the side of the road in the desert, right?
Yes.
And that you said that you went to the trunk of the car, right?
Yes.
Isn't it true, ma'am, that that's where you claim to have the gas cans?
That's where they were.
Pardon?
Yes, that's where they were.
Baker, we have 50 minutes left of this day. Since we're not starting the 1:30 stream, are you good with keeping going, or do you got to jump off soon?
If I can turn off my camera and sound and eat the rest of my food, because it's been getting cold next to me for the last hour because I was a little late. So I'm just going to turn off my camera and I'll be right back. And let's keep going because all these lovely people need somewhere to hang out and there's nothing going on the tubes.
All right, sounds good. We'll keep going. You get another hour and a half of us or so with Jodi Day. It's a special Tuesday.
Yeah.
And so the gas cans and the gas were in the back with the water, right?
Yes, a case of water and my suitcase.
And you found that you had some blood on you, correct?
Yes.
And back then, that was at the time that there was this stop or security checkpoint before Hoover Dam, right?
I pulled over before that.
Right. You were not so much in a fog
Oh.
that you didn't know that the
Well, I'm
checkpoint
sorry, you're
existed,
always-
right?
Maybe someone will be kind
I
enough to
did not
gift you a
know that the
membership,
checkpoint existed.
Jessica.
Well, you just told me that was when the checkpoint was there. Do you remember telling me that just now?
I came to know of its existence when I drove up to it, or when there was a sign or something.
But conveniently, or to your advantage, you stopped the car before you got to the checkpoint, right?
A long time before the checkpoint when I called Ryan or texted somebody or Leslie or something.
So the answer is yes, correct?
Yes.
And one of the things that you did was that you got the water from the trunk, right?
Yes.
You cleaned your hands, right?
Yes.
And you changed your socks or put some shoes on, correct?
I put socks and shoes on, I think.
Right. And you took the bloody clothes that you had on, you took those off, right?
That's very true. Hang on
I think
enough
I did.
and you'll get
Well, do
it.
you remember testifying that you threw them away along with the gun?
I don't recall throwing my clothes out in the desert,
But you did change in anticipation of the checkpoint, right?
no, I didn't know there was a checkpoint until I reached it.
Well, you will acknowledge that this changing and washing of hands occurred before you got to the checkpoint, whether you knew or not that the checkpoint was there.
That's correct.
And you would agree that it was to your advantage to have clean hands and clothing that is not soiled with blood if you're going to go through a checkpoint, correct?
That wasn't my line of thinking, but I would agree with what you said.
And then you are making some
Don't answer
calls at
questions
that time,
like that.
aren't you?
Prior to the checkpoint, yes.
you have the, I guess, the ability to say, I'm going to look through the car to see if I can find my charger, right?
I wasn't looking for my charger, but I looked through the car.
You were looking through the car then when you pulled over, right?
Yes,
And when you pulled over, you found the charger, according to you, underneath the seat, right?
yes.
And that allowed you to make some telephone calls, right?
Not right away because there was no reception.
Right, but you made some telephone calls before you reached the Arizona-Nevada border, right?
Yes, I turned my phone on and it just took a while to place a call because the call
Right.
kept dropping.
It was before the checkpoint, right?
Yes.
And while you were you driving at that time when?
Baker, if you can hear me, I need an image of you for your one that's not of you looking all weird for your media pass. Send me one.
The telephone was in a position to make calls out.
They are illegal in
Yes.
Michigan.
So when it first came on, so that it had the ability for calls to be made, how far was it to the checkpoint?
It felt like an hour.
Felt like an hour?
I
You know where
think.
Kingman is?
No.
The checkpoint really worked
And
well, huh?
when this telephone came on, we started to make telephone calls, right?
I attempted to. I was only able to send, I think, text messages.
I realize
Signal
that
wasn't-
you're talking about text messages. I'm talking about telephone calls. You were able to call Ryan Burns, right?
Yes.
And even though you were in this fog that you're telling us about, you were able to call him and make up a lie, right?
The fog that I was referring to relates to my memory.
Right, it relates to your memory. So you could have told Mr. Burns that you were with Mr. Alexander, but you didn't, right?
That's right.
Instead, you made up a story, didn't you?
Yes.
So this fog that you're talking about, it wasn't so heavy that it prevented you from thinking and making up a lie.
Yes, that's right.
You made up a lie that you had lost your charger, right?
Yes.
You made up a
It would be
lie
nice
that you
if
had
she
gone
did
to a
one
gas
day.
station to get the charger, right?
No, that's not what I told him.
And so Mr. Burns is full of crap when he tells us that.
No, he just has a poor memory on some things.
And you know that based on that one limited time that you met with him in West Jordan, Utah, correct?
No, I know that from all his inconsistent statements to police.
But you only met him one time, right? As a romantic interest.
Yes.
And so you also told him that you got lost, right?
I did say that.
That was also not true, correct?
Well, technically it was, but not for the reason I was telling him.
No, you actually, ma'am, you knew where you were going. You were going over to Mr. Alexander's house. You knew that, right?
No, I got lost after
I'm
leaving his
still
house. is what I
planning on
mean. So
interviewing
technically I
her
did
at
get
some
lost,
point,
But
and I
that's
will-
not why I told Ryan that.
I will ask her
Even though
straight
there's
up.
this technicality, are you telling us that when you told Mr. Burns that you got lost, that you were clear with him that the reason you got lost was that you killed Mr. Alexander and you had been driving and you'd been lost that way? Or did you tell him that you got lost a different way?
I don't remember what way. I think I made up something stupid and I certainly didn't tell him I got lost about Travis. I told him I got lost
Right.
to deceive him.
So even in this fog, you still have the ability to think, to protect yourself, right?
Yes.
And the other thing that you did is you attempted to call Matthew McCartney, right?
Yes.
And you also attempted to call Mr. Brewer, right?
I don't remember. I might have.
One of the other things that you did, and we were talking about protecting yourself. One of the other things that you did is that you immediately, almost immediately when you said you come out of this fog, one of the first things that you do is you try to divert attention away from you so that the police won't think that you had anything to do with this killing, right?
Yes.
And this fog that you were under that you're telling us about is not so deep that it stops you from fabricating or attempting to fabricate evidence, right?
I think you got it right.
That would be correct.
And it's not so deep that, according to you, you can stay on the telephone and know the prompt so that you can get the telephone message just right, according to you, right?
Well, just so that I wasn't crying in the message, yes.
Right. But you want the message to be just so that it sounds natural, right?
Yeah, as natural as possible.
Right, and you went to great lengths to do that, according to you, right?
Yes.
And the reason that you went to great lengths to do that was that so that if there was any suspicion, it wouldn't be drawn to you, correct?
Not immediately. That was the point, yes.
Right, you wanted the police to look elsewhere, right?
I guess.
Well, no, you made the call knowing the reason why you made the call, right?
Yes.
If you really weren't wanting to fabricate evidence, you would have just left whatever message instead of worrying about crying or whatever it was that you were worried about, right?
That's right.
And so you called Mr. Alexander and you left him a message, right?
Yes.
Let's play it and hear what you said. This is exhibit number 365.
I know Leslie called you, so I already talked to her, so you can call her back if you want, but it's not necessary. My phone died, so I wasn't getting back to anybody. And when I drove 100 miles in the wrong direction, over 100 miles, thank you very much. So yeah, remember New Mexico? It was a lot like that, only you weren't here to prevent me from going into the 3 digits, so fun. Tell you all about that later. Also, when we were talking about your upcoming travels my way, I was looking at the May calendar, so I'm all confused. Heather and I are going to see Othello on July 1st, and we would love for you to accompany us. I don't know when King Freedom's event is though, but it's on the list, so we could do Shakespeare, Crater Lake, and the coast. So if you can make it, if not, we'll just do the coast in Crater Lake. But let me know, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
End of message. To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press 9. To message will be saved for 21.
That's you, correct?
Correct.
And that's you lying on the message, right?
Yes.
You're telling,
She called
leaving the
that.
message for Mr. Alexander, indicating that you got lost, fun, right?
Yes.
That's not true, right?
That's not true.
Asking him or talking to him about coming up to visit you up in Wairika and doing some of the things that you mentioned, that's not true also, right?
No, that was our plan before June 4th.
That was the plan before June 4th, but you're talking to him or leaving the message for him, indicating that, you're sorry you couldn't stop by, but you guys can make up for it when he comes up to visit you, right?
Yes.
That's a lie.
Yes.
And all of these lies, man, are meant for your benefit so that you can escape responsibility.
I don't see how that's to my benefit, but I don't know what you mean by benefit, but yeah, so I could escape whatever for the time being.
Well, now that you keep saying for the time being, you would have been happy to avoid the consequences for a lifetime, wouldn't have you?
Well, it's at
I can't say I'd be
1.25.
happy.
It was at 1.25, but it's still really fast. So she's talking a lot and very quickly.
But I
You would
don't
have
know.
preferred that though, right?
Farrell
I-
gave us another beautiful gem.
I don't know how to answer that.
Oh, with the prosecutors a little off on the shelf. Farrell does amazing work.
Well, you didn't go to the police with any of your information ever until they contacted you, right?
I think I initiated the contact.
Oh, so you're saying when you called the police, you told them the truth?
No, I'm not saying that.
You would have been satisfied to avoid any responsibility for the killing of Mr. Alexander, wouldn't you?
I don't know if satisfied is the word, probably relieved for the time
Okay.
being.
Baker's
You would have been
corner
relieved
kissing his
To
dinner. is
avoid
what he's
any
doing.
consequences for the killing of Mr. Alexander, correct?
That was my goal for
Right.
that day.
And that's why you left this message that we heard in exhibit number 365, right?
Yes, well, that's part of the reason.
Well, that was the main reason, wasn't it?
Yes.
I mean, there would be really no other reason to leave a dead man a telephone call, would there?
I
Probably
probably
not.
wouldn't have done that, but Leslie said she called his phone asking for me because I was missing, and then I thought, well, maybe I should
Finish my tacos.
do something about that, and that's why I did it.
You're kissing
So
the corners of
ultimately,
your
that was the main
tacos?
reason. Yes.
Yeah,
So you're looking to Leslie Udy?
I like a
So-
good taco.
So how is this coming
Mhm.
off when you are when you are calling to clearly doing a fake phone call because you've now admitted to unaliving him to make a fake phone call to cover your tracks? It sounds less and less like self-defense, right? It's like the guy who shot the who shot that lawyer that got out of his car and then went running to, I don't even know where they found him. He was on the run for like half a year or something. It just makes you look not so innocent.
That's the
Yeah,
reason why you
especially
left.
because you were so afraid of him, and he called you all kinds of great, disturbing names, and then you're calling and talking about, oh, I would love to have you here. Oh, I miss you. Rah, rah. It's so stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cover up gets you every time. You know, if you unalive somebody, whether it's intentional, self-defense, or accidental, you're just in a bad spot altogether. But I think making further intentional steps to cover your tracks is probably not the bestest of moves.
Telephone
Edge
call,
code.
man?
No, I
Yeah.
said the other to avoid whatever was the ultimate reason.
You gave me a reason involving Leslie Udy right now, didn't you?
Yes, I
So
would have
yours-
thought to leave him a message if I hadn't talked to her prior to leaving that message. And then she said that we've been calling and we called Travis and left a message and that kind of thing.
But she told you that, ma'am, not believing that he was still alive, didn't she?
Yes,
You knew better, though.
I think I did.
And so you didn't have to follow her advice, right?
She didn't give me any advice.
Well, you didn't have to follow her words, did you?
I didn't have to, but it reminded me of his cell phone and
But
I
it
chose
looks
to do
like,
it. I chose to not, if you're going down the route saying Leslie made me do that, I'm not saying
I'm
that.
not saying Leslie made you do it. I'm saying you're looking again in a personal relationship, in an issue that is absolutely yours to own. You're looking for somebody else saying, Leslie Udy, I talked to her. And as a result of talking to Leslie Udy, that's why I left this.
Objection, argumentative.
Ma'am, Leslie Udy really didn't have anything to do with that call, right?
I made the call. I just got the idea after speaking with her.
So she was the reason why you had the idea then.
That kind of, I guess.
And according to you, if it had not been for Leslie Udy, you wouldn't have thought about it, right?
I probably might have thought of it eventually, but maybe not. I don't know. I just know that I thought of it after she mentioned she had left a message on his voicemail.
And so because of this outside stimulus, you decided to leave this message, right? It was your decision.
It was my decision.
Just like visiting Mr. Alexander was your decision, right? On
Yes,
June 4th of 2008 was your decision, right?
yes,
Even though you told us before that you guilted you, that really wasn't the reason that you went. You wanted it to go, correct?
part of me did and part of me didn't. Obviously, the bigger part of me did because I went and he did guilt me and ultimately still was my decision.
And so you made the decision to go though, right?
Yes,
And then though, after that, you did something else to cover up, didn't you?
yes.
Take a look at another exhibit.
I just hate how every question is answered with, I did, I didn't. I did, I
Exhibit
didn't.
number
I did, I did.
504.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
You recognize it?
She's not good at answering questions.
Yes.
She's screwing herself at every turn.
Yes,
What's the date on it?
the 6th of June,
Pardon?
June 6th, 2008.
And it's to Mr. Alexander, correct?
Yes.
And again, the hours are off by 7, correct?
Yeah, I didn't look at the hours.
Well, why don't you just take a look at the hours just so that we can make sure.
Okay,
They're off by 7, correct?
yes.
Look at the image. 504.
Everyone's a body language expert.
504 is admitted.
It's not a lie if you believe it. You know, I haven't been using my drops. I need to get my drop machine up and running.
It's not a lie if you believe it.
Take a look at this text message.
She
First
did
of all,
so many bad things.
That's your telephone number there on the left, correct?
That was, yes.
And the date there is 6/6 of 08, correct?
Yes,
If we take the 7 hours away from the 1658, what we're really talking, and the 7 hours from 1658, what we're really talking about is what, 9:58 in the morning, is that correct?
yes,
This is while you were still on the road, right, home, correct?
yes, I believe it was.
And why don't you read to us what the message is that you left for Mr. Alexander?
Hey, I need to know when you're going to deposit that check.
And you were referring to the check involving the car, right?
Yes.
The check that you know was
This is why
uncashed.
out the gate he asked her when
desk in his
when she left the house if she already knew that he was dead. And she's like, well, I don't know. I was speculating. And then he went rounds and rounds and rounds with her. Basically got her to admit that, yeah, he was pretty much dead when she left the house.
office, right?
I didn't know where it was, but I figured it wasn't cashed.
Now, in fact, there was a conversation that you had with the detective where you talked to him about the uncashed check, correct?
Yes.
So you knew it was uncashed, correct?
By the time it hadn't cleared whenever I talked to him, I knew it was uncashed.
But another thing that you knew on this date is that Mr. Alexander was dead, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I
And
did.
you did that again so that you could cover up what you had done, right?
Yes.
Because you did not want to be faced with whatever
Faker.
consequences were involved, right?
I was afraid of the consequences.
And because you were afraid, that was a good enough excuse for you to send something like that.
Restate.
The reason that you gave to us that you were afraid, in your mind, even though the fog had lifted or there was a fog that was involved, you
There's
felt that
just
it
a
was
fog that was
okay
involved
to
somehow.
send this message.
I didn't feel it was okay. It's not like that. So I guess that would be no.
Well, then why are you sending it? Are you sending it so that he can reach him in the grave or what?
No.
You're sending it so that, as you previously said, involving the telephone calls, so you won't have to face the consequences of what you did. right?
Baker, in your
Yes.
body language expert skills,
Just like the scene,
is she
you're trying
crying
to
for herself
manipulate the evidence, right?
Yes.
or
Take a look
because
at another exhibit.
of
I think
the
she's
of Travis?
crying because she thinks she's supposed to cry. Because the way she was crying before, it's not normal as a
Exhibit 505.
person with glasses. When she sat
recognize
there
it?
and kept crying with her glasses on, to me it just
Yeah.
makes it seem.
And that's an email, right?
Yeah.
Sent by you, right?
Yes.
Sent to Mr. Alexander, right?
To his email.
And what date and time was it sent?
Saturday, June 7th, 2008.
What time?
I'm sorry, 10:21.
All right, I got a new.
I'm over the admission, we did 505.
Oh. Hang on. There we go.
No
I got a new
I have a
pull. I had
file submitted.
It's at 1.25, but I feel like it's going slower.
Take a look at it. It's from you, right?
Yeah.
And you've already told us the date and time. You're sending it to him even though you know he's dead, right? It's a way to stage the scene, right?
I think so. Yeah. That was my goal, I think.
That's
What would
okay. You
that
can
be?
creep
That was
on me,
my
Jessica. if you
Goal,
want.
right?
Yeah.
Why don't you start with, hey, you, and read to us what it says.
Hey, you, I haven't heard back
A
from
little bit
you.
louder.
The fact that it was sent is enough.
Enunciate.
Hey, you, I haven't heard back from you. I hope you're not still upset that I didn't come to see you. I just didn't have enough time off. It's okay, sweetie. You're going to be here in less than 2 weeks. We're going to see the sights.
This is so bad making her read it. What's going
You
through her
also
head
write,
right now?
check things off the list and all kinds of fun things, right?
Yes.
You say, oh, it's
Realizing
beautiful
she's
this
not
time of
talking
year.
about
Yay,
me.
be happy, correct? And then you say, anyway, I wanted to let you know that I'm thinking about pushing my visit up to next week, but it depends on my budget, so I'm not sure yet. I know you'll be in Cancun, but I'll probably crash at your house in your cozy bed anyway. Eat some of your oatmeal and frozen dinners, you know, the usual joke. I know you said the door was always open, but I wanted to give you a heads up. If for any reason that won't work, let me know and I'll make other arrangements. Your house has always been my second home, although it's a bit more
I
lonely
agree,
without
Malcolm.
Nats around. You're probably in California right now, but wherever you are, get a hold of me at least before you head to Mexico. Thanks, hon, Jodi. You wrote that, right?
Yes.
That was your way of an attempt for you to, again, stage the scene, so to speak, right?
Yes.
I'm going to play something for you, man. This is exhibit number 248.
Let's play it already.
No jury is going to convict me
Why not?
because I'm innocent. And you can mark my words on that one. No jury will convict me.
You will eat
That's
those
you,
words.
right?
Yes.
And that's you saying that, not that you're going to not be
Ladies and gentlemen,
convicted because you're
don't
going to
taunt the
commit
jury.
suicide or anything like that, is it?
That's correct.
You're saying that you're innocent, right?
Yes.
And you believe that no jury would convict you because you were going to lie your way out of it, right?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
Ma'am, you indicated certain things in this court as part of your testimony, didn't you?
Yes.
You indicated, for example, that Travis Alexander, that you saw him masturbating to a picture or pictures of young boys, correct?
I only saw one picture.
Right, you saw him do that. That's a lie, isn't it, ma'am?
Objection, argumentative.
I wish it was a lie. It's
And
not.
ma'am, with regard to this issue of him being hypersexual and him being overbearing in that department, that's not true, is it?
Objection, argumentative.
It's true that he was hypersexual. It's not true
I
that he was
didn't ask you if he was
overbearing.
hypersexual, I asked you if he was overbearing.
You said hypersexual.
All right, let's go with overbearing then.
No, I don't think he was
hypersexual?
overbearing.
And in fact, you gave,
What's that?
What's hypersexual?
Like he's like addicted to it or somehow overly fascinated with it. I think
Well-
that's what he's referring to.
Well, then I'm hypersexual because
I was going to say that's every man and like half the women.
yeah, it's at least in the first 3 months of the relationship, we're all hypersexual.
Yes, yes. Well, yeah, and they were on and again, off again. They were always in their first 3 months.
Yeah, and she was, well, she was the most boring dirty talker, but apparently she could accept a lot of requests.
What? Nick just sent me a photo. Apparently, on his end, it shows that he has 324 likes on his stream. What is going on, YouTube? That's not the numbers I'm getting. But yeah, no, she's all kinds of, she's got to be into it still, I imagine, in prison, right? She's got to be, behind the scenes, I hear there's some scuffle between her and a girlfriend. So that's kind of fun to think about.
But she has a boyfriend.
Yeah, but apparently she had a girlfriend on the inside.
Well,
And they got into an altercation.
as well as you took, didn't you?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
You were in it to the same extent that he was in the activities, right?
Objection. Calls for speculation.
Rephrase. Ma'am, for example, we saw some of the text messages that you sent to him, right?
Yes.
We heard some of the conversations that you had with him, right?
Yes.
You indicated, for example, I don't need to go into all of them, that you wanted to sexually blossom. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you remember specifically saying that you wanted a facial. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So you were enjoying the sex, weren't you?
Yes. Mostly.
She
Yes.
wanted the facial.
And yet you came in
There's
here
no throw candy
and for
at me
days
after.
upon days, you told us how uncomfortable they made you feel, right?
Only those times. We didn't talk about all the other times.
And ma'am, additionally, you talked about how he was physically abusive to you during your testimony, right?
Yes.
I know. I'm so looking
And
forward
you
to
said,
the
for
real
example,
questions.
that in March, when you were going to move to Wairika, that he hit you on the freeway, right?
Yes.
But we took a look at your journal entry. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And your journal entry speaks otherwise, doesn't it?
It doesn't speak of the incident.
No, it spoke of tenderness, 3 soft kisses, doesn't it?
Yes.
And involving the allegation that he kicked you and did something to your finger. Do you remember that? We also took a look at your journal.
Yes.
And in that journal indicated that on the day that that was supposed to have happened, nothing noteworthy happened. That's what your journal said, right?
Over the span of those 4 days. Yes.
Right. And on January 22nd, when you allegedly saw him, in this masturbatory conduct, that's also when you wrote in your journal that nothing noteworthy occurred, right?
I'm sorry, it was on the 21st, but that was
Right, the 21st. But your journal entry of the 24th covers
Yes,
the January 21st, doesn't it?
yes,
And so you believe that you're going to be acquitted because you came in and told those stories, don't you?
Objection, argumentative relevance.
I can't predict the future. And that's not why I told the truth. I still plan to kill myself when I told the truth.
And you believe that you're saying that at that time you planned to kill yourself, right?
Yes.
But that's not what you say in there, do you?
No, I couldn't say that.
Well, I'm not saying whether or not you could say it. You started your testimony on direct examination by saying, those are the bitterest words I have ever uttered. Do you remember saying that?
No, I said they're probably the most bitterest words I will ever eat. Or something.
Right, and so you have a very good memory as to what you said about that, right?
Yes.
And you said that the reason that you made that comment that no jury would convict you was because you were going to commit suicide, right?
That's great.
But in this clip that we saw, you actually say it's because you're innocent, right?
Yes, the first degree murder. I won't innocent of that.
Yeah, it does say that you did say you were innocent, right?
Yes.
Even that's a lie, isn't it, ma'am?
Objection.
Not how I was meaning it.
What's that?
Not.
Objection, argumentative.
Rephrase.
Isn't it inconsistent? Your testimony, isn't it inconsistent with what this particular exhibit, 248, what you say in exhibit 248?
Objection, it's law, that's not accurate in self-defense.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think she's on the same page that she's going to be acquitted. Was she offered a plea deal, I wonder?
You heard yourself, right?
I would like to know what her plea deal was.
May continue. Objection overruled.
In this exhibit 248, you heard yourself, right?
Yes.
You said, I'm innocent. No jury will convict me, right?
Yes.
Whereas when you started this direct examination, your testimony, you said, the reason I said.
I do. I have Nick's stream pinned to the top, and I pinned my stream to the top of Nick's. Like always, Ghosterly.
That no jury would convict me was because I planned to kill myself, right?
I said I plan to be dead. Yes.
Because you were planning to commit suicide, right?
That's correct.
Those are two different stories, aren't they?
No, on the stand, I explained why I didn't say suicide as opposed to the alternative, because there was an officer sitting a few feet behind me. And if I'd said that, they would have hauled me off to a padded room, stripped me naked, and I would have lived there until whenever.
So what you are saying, even today, that when you say that you're innocent, that means to you that there's an officer sitting next to you and you didn't want him to know that you were going to commit suicide, right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
She said they would have stripped her naked and put her in a padded room and she would have lived there forever. Do they normally strip people in padded rooms naked?
I don't know. I haven't been in a padded room in a while, but I don't think so. I think at the very least they get a white robe.
Yeah, isn't the thing that there's not really anything in that room you can tie anything to, so it kind of defeats the purpose of making them naked.
Yeah, it does. But we put her in a padded room every Tuesday and Saturday.
That's what you're saying?
When I made that statement?
Yes, when you said innocent, that's what you equate it with.
Well, definitely innocent of
Yes or
pre-planning whatever you're trying to say.
No, I'm not asking about that. I'm asking about the statements. Isn't it true that the statements are different? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, they're different.
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
What?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you on Monday.
He ended in the
10:15.
middle of a sentence,
Please
kind of.
remove the admonition.
He did.
Are there any questions?
That's it. Cross is done.
Have a nice weekend.
Wait, we got a lot to go. They must be arguing about something. Well, we still have more court to go, but she's done with Cross. All right, so we're going to get to redirect on Saturday. Let's see what they have to say.
We are in recess. We do have a hearing. If you don't plan to stay for the hearing, I'm going to ask that you leave
What
the
is
courtroom.
this now? Is it treehouse or treehouse? I think it's 2 words. Treehouse. Tear-proof apron. Well, I don't know, but I will defer to whatever you guys say in the chat. My experience with my clients that have been in that sort of situation, but they weren't necessarily on Unalive watch, is pajamas. Essentially, they bring their own pajamas and they kind of wear pajamas around. Yeah, crosses over. I wonder what this hearing is. If this is going to be a continuation of the mental health professional.
That for hearing on an application for leave to intervene for the limited purpose of unsealing the transcript of the February 20, 2013 closed proceeding and any other closed hearings during trial, filed by attorneys for KPNX Broadcasting Company and Phoenix Newspapers Incorporated. Appearance.
Okay, interesting. So newspapers probably filed a FOIA request and for the documents, and the court had everything under seal, so now they want access to them. Well, we'll hear what they have to say.
This is for the record, please.
I don't know. I'm just looking at the sign behind me, and it's 2 words.
First attorney Jennifer Wilmot on behalf of Jodi Arias.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Bodney, and with me, Chris Meeser, on behalf of Phoenix Newspapers, Inc. and KPNX Broadcasting Company.
Good afternoon. I received your application this morning. The attorneys also have received a copy of your application. What is the state's?
I'll leave it to the court's discretion.
What?
Mr. Nurmi.
Judge, I have reviewed the application. I would cite the court as we had in previous proceedings. As to Estes v. Texas, there is a right to public trial, but it must be weighed against the rights to have a fair trial. And given that, we believe that the rights, the things that are discussed in those chambers and at bench conferences,
I wonder if it was a mental health assessment kind of
receiving
thing.
a fair trial,
Is she
and
going
the
for the
dissemination
insanity
of
defense
said
at one point?
material would interfere with that. I believe that the attorneys for Phoenix Newspaper have not put forth anything that really would demonstrate to the contrary. Having spoken first, I'm not sure which assertions they would make. However, it has been their consistent position, I guess, or to seemingly ignore the fact that this is a death penalty case. More process is due than less, citing the court to Lockett v. Ohio, 408 U.S. 586, and Woodson v. North Carolina, 428 U.S. 280. So we have not only an instance where we're talking about fair trial, but we're also talking about fundamental fairness in sentencing in a death penalty setting. That fundamental fairness as it relates to trial and sentencing is eviscerated if
death penalty case at this time.
Crucial information that must be discussed amongst attorneys and the court is somehow publicized. That would, again, interfere with her right to a fair trial. The benefit to the right to the fair trial is really held by Ms. Arias, not by Phoenix Newspapers. This is a trial, not a television event. Citing to Garnett Company versus De Pasquale.
Well, it kind of is a television event.
68. With that, Judge, I would rest. I think I've made sufficient record of my position. And again, I would continue to cite the reality that the Phoenix Newspapers have not provided you any serious authority as to why.
Let's just take a moment and appreciate the fact that this attorney will eventually write a book about this case, to the point where he gets disbarred for breaching attorney-client privilege. But this is his argument right now.
These proceedings, Ms. Arias is.
Well,
right.
it's kind of like the state in the Crumpty case. The things they argued against the parents are exactly the opposite they're going to argue with the kid, or vice versa.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there. It's just, well, they're doing it in real time, but this is 10 years ago now. And so we know that eventually, like 2 years from this very moment, he's writing a book and getting disbarred. It's just kind of funny.
Desire to have these transcripts.
Mr. Bodney, do you have anything you'd like to add to your written pleading?
Thank you, Your Honor, for this opportunity to be heard. We appreciate it. We are certainly mindful that this is an important criminal case, and we do not mean to take up any more of the court's time or attention than necessary. And we do not mean to diminish the importance of the Sixth Amendment and fair trial rights in this case. But since Estes versus the United States Supreme Court decided no less than 4 cases in the 1980s, recognizing a First Amendment right of the press and public to attend criminal proceedings, important cases just like these. And so we're at a decided disadvantage when it comes to offering specifics as to why the hearing that took place on February 20 or any other closed proceeding in this case should be open. All we can underscore in assistance to the court, quite frankly, on this issue is this. There is a First Amendment right of the press and public to attend virtually all aspects of criminal proceedings. That is a presumed right, and it can be limited only upon a showing buttressed by specific findings on the record of some overriding
I don't think he's
interest
going to win.
that trumps that First Amendment right, and a showing that the narrowly tailored provisions designed to protect that interest.
It's not so much covering the entire trial. There's a particular hearing that apparently took place in February, somehow involving, they're kind of being like secretive about it, putting it on the record, but it somehow involves something having to do with the death penalty. My assessment would be that, my guess essentially would be that it has to do with her mental health, in that that's why it would be sealed. And that would be a major component in the death penalty provision. And it sounds like the media wants access to it, and they file the motion to get access to it. That's what it sounds like.
Are essential to preserving a higher value. And finally, that there really are no less drastic alternatives to closure. And so because we don't know what was said in any closed proceeding, we have to repose our confidence in the court to issue specific findings on the record, either in support of closure or in support of release of transcripts of any proceedings that have been closed to date. And I recognize that as the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals recognized in what we call the Symington case, the Phoenix Newspapers versus District Court decision, that release of those transcripts should occur when any danger dissipates. So if counsel for the defendant is aware of some danger that would exist to the fair trial right of his client by release of a sentence or two, or the
This is Arizona. Do they impanel? Does anybody know if they impanel a separate new jury for the death penalty phase? Or if it's the same jury like in Texas? Because I think if they impanel a new jury, then you're getting new people that have not only potentially watched the trial itself, but then have also been exposed to whatever information they're trying to get. I think that's kind of important to know.
Then I suppose findings in support of that conclusion should be issued, and then the press and public will have a greater understanding about why that particular hearing took place in closed session, and why any other hearings in this important criminal trial take place in closed session. So in closing, Your Honor, we are very mindful of the importance of the case from the prosecutor's perspective and from the defendant's perspective. We are mindful of Your Honor's time, and for that reason, I will conclude my remarks unless there are any questions. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to be heard and to ask the court to give life to these First Amendment protections, which our Supreme Court of the United States has recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Bodney. This court is mindful of its obligation to keep the courtroom doors open. We have done so in this trial. This trial has been covered by the media, gavel to gavel. Some of the evidentiary rulings in this case have been held in open court, others have not. When this court closed a proceeding, this court made findings consistent with Rule 122 and Arizona law. Specifically, this court found that there does exist a compelling interest that overcomes the right of the public to access the record of that particular proceeding. The court has also found that there is a compelling interest supporting sealing or redacting the record when it was required. Specifically, this court found on occasion that the privacy interest of witnesses, possible witnesses, and jurors could be affected by the disclosure of certain matters that occurred in chambers. The court also found that a substantial probability exists that the compelling interest will be prejudiced if the record is not sealed until this trial is concluded. The court also found that that proposed sealing was narrowly tailored and that no less restrictive means exist to achieve that compelling interest. The court also found that dissemination of materials and information that was exchanged during the in-chambers proceedings would affect the defendant's right to a fair trial because of the intense media scrutiny in this case. dissemination of certain matters discussed in those in-chambers proceedings could affect the strategy and the evidence presented in this case and could affect the testimony of potential witnesses. For those reasons, the court has chosen to seal certain portions of this case. Certainly nothing that was heard by the jury, but certain evidentiary matters and other hearings. So the application for leave to intervene for the limited purpose of unsealing the transcript of February 20, 2013 is denied for the reasons stated. Some of the in-chambers proceedings were not sealed. And if there is a specific hearing or a specific request, this court will consider that. But I believe that most of the in-chambers proceedings were sealed at the request of the defendant, and there was no objection from the state. And as I said earlier, this court made specific findings.
Well, it's Christmas
that
time,
sealing
Money
of
Money.
those specific
to
proceedings
be
was
festive.
necessary and in the public interest. So is there anything else, counsel?
No.
Your Honor, just the only matter not related to
Oh,
this
sit down, shut
simply
up.
deals with exhibits. Since we are beginning to redirect, my understanding is the counsel for the state still has one exhibit checked out. We'd like the opportunity to have that returned so we can check it out in preparation.
Mr. Martinez?
And he discussed it with me 5 minutes ago, asking whether or not I had another exhibit. I indicated to him that I did. I would return it tomorrow, so I'm not sure why that's becoming an issue.
Want to make a record of it.
Counsel questions?
Oh my God, squabble over exhibits. Why do you got to tell the judge? I already told you I'd give it to you. Why you got to tell the judge?
You had something else to say.
Thank you, Your Honor. Very briefly,
Well, the blue lady looks like Lauren Boebert.
A little bit.
just 2 points of
A
clarification.
little bit older.
I thought I heard Your Honor say that the application was denied for the reasons stated. I would hope that the application for leave to intervene, based on the standing that my clients enjoy, would be granted, but that the relief requested today be denied, recognizing that we have a standing request for copies of those transcripts at the conclusion of the trial or whenever the reasons for their closure dissipate, if sooner.
All right, I will grant your request to intervene, and I believe it would be appropriate for those transcripts to be made public after the trial has concluded. So if that clarifies my ruling?
Okay.
I would take issue with that. If there is a death sentence imposed, there is an automatic appeal, there's automatic post-conviction, there's many habeas issues that could arise. I don't think an automatic unsealing.
See, that's what I was concerned about with Jodi
dissipates
talking
any issues
until her
related to
appeals are
those
done.
possible proceedings if the sentence is death. So I would take issue with the
It's
court
always
going that
stupid
far
to
at
go
this
to the
point.
press because it
All
can
right.
be brought into the
I will
courtroom.
give defense
And,
counsel an opportunity to indicate
It's
any specific.
about the same reasons why you
you're
don't talk to
concerned about,
cops.
And this court will take up the request of the
Because
intervener.
everything can be used against you.
Yes, exactly. I think the ruling was kind of fair and appropriate in this. It needs no effects. I don't know.
Trial
how
and
to
make a
do snow
determination
effects.
of which proceedings should remain
Oh,
sealed
actually, I know how.
and which may be provided.
I would then ask for, if at the end of this trial, Phoenix newspapers is making such requests, if they file specific requests for me in advance, so we can take it up, so I can take a look back at what these things are.
Yes, most of them would require a transcript, I think, from a court reporter because those proceedings were not conducted in the courtroom, so there would not be an FTR record. We would need a record from a specific court reporter. So, Mr. Bodney, if you had a specific
I don't
request
know.
for a hearing on a specific date, you would need to give us enough time to have a transcript prepared so that we can all review that and make a determination.
And Your Honor, I guess we would like to make a standing request for the February 20 hearing. And if there have been other closed proceedings at which issues in this trial have been decided, we would request access to them. Obviously, we don't know what was said during those closed proceedings and therefore can't be any more specific than that.
All right, Mr. Babick, he is the court reporter for that particular hearing. I will request that he prepare a transcript so that all the parties can review that specific proceeding. Is that the only one you're concerned about now?
It's the only one I'm specifically aware of now, though I understand there to have been others.
All right, I can't tell you when that transcript will be ready. He has many requests for transcripts and it will
I
be in
didn't.
line with all of his other requests. But I
I
will
didn't
pass that
remove your
along.
link. It's right there at the
All
top
right.
of the screen.
Thank you,
All
Your
right.
Honor.
All right. That was day 25. We are finished with day 25. We are finished with cross-examination of Jodi. And Nick, I didn't remove your link. Absolutely not. I don't know what's going on with. See, look right here. See, it's pinned at the top. Nick's stream. It's been there for hours now. I don't know what's going on with YouTube.
I have it on mine as well. So,
oh, we got a gifted membership over on Nick's channel. Peace Pony gifted a membership. Thank you very much. And that went to Mike L. Very cool. Thank you, PP. What's funny is my little cat's name is PP. So I think that's fun. So Baker, is this your first time being on panel with the Jodi stream? I don't
actually think I've been on as a substitute from you before.
Okay, maybe. What are your thoughts on Jodi though?
Well, I followed her along the way, but she's to me comes off like a narcissist who has the same illness 95% of all people in court have. I can fool everyone. And if you do enough cases, you'll see them the moment they walk into court. You can see, oh, this one is going to talk herself into prison.
Yeah. Well, she definitely likes to talk herself into places, and try to get out of places. But I don't think she realized that when she talked herself out of situations, she was basically just talking to the point that people just wanted nothing to do with her and walked away and left her alone. She didn't realize that people that actually want to go after her are not going to be scared away by her talking. In fact, they're going to use that against her. And we have another 5 gifted memberships from Cindy J. And those went to Ghosterly. Yep, Ghosterly. Oh, Knowles Taken. Rob Mill. I can't pronounce it. Can you pronounce that name?
No.
At first I thought it was Soren. But it's not. Amy T.
No, that's runic. It's not the
runic name. I remember the name. I don't know how to say it though. But thank you very much for the gifted memberships. Well, Nick thanks you anyways. See, there we go. But yeah, so you think she's a narcissist?
Well, she's just an idiot who thinks too highly of herself and thinks everyone else is an idiot.
That's probably a better assessment. She's just an idiot. Let's see. Do I have let's see if I have any updates on our Georgia peach. Let's see.
The only things I can see that looks anything like the Nordic alphabet is the third letter is an A, and the last letter is it doesn't look like anything, and if nope, and then it's a N. What's the little funny hat? It doesn't say. Is this? No, I tried this one. It looks more real.
Are you trying to get the name?
Yeah, trying to figure out what it says, but the lettering.
Can we
I
translate?
can't do this one. Don't know what that is. That is a J. No, that's not the. I need the alphabet. National Museum of Denmark. Okay, this should be the OG one.
Oh my God.
It's J.
It won't let me translate.
SJO. Is that a? Yeah, that's a L.
It's Elder.
LI
ruins. I don't know.
And that's the last one is S.
Oh, see, Nick's got the name. Sojolis.
SNI.
Look at Baker's bad at names too, everybody.
Well, it's runic. I have to try and translate it. It's I'll try and
on the likes, by the way. I don't know. You don't have 320 some likes. I'm sorry. So I'm winning on the likes. what is happening? So, Nick was gifted memberships by Cindy J, and one of them went to a name that we can't pronounce. I can actually, let me share the screen and see if I can pull it up. That's not Nick's. Where is Nick's? There's Nick's. Okay. So this name right here, I can't, well, you guys might not be able to see it very well. Oh, look at that. We're Inception now. Because I can't pull it up because they're not chatting. I have picture evidence. Yeah, I saw your picture evidence, Nick. I think YouTube is going to correct that. Yeah, see 70 to 59. Woohoo! But I think, Nick, you won the membership gifts. Definitely won the membership gifts. And also the super chats. So
And I want the corner kisses.
Yes, yes. And Baker won all the corner kisses.
It's Jodi Snitka.
There you go. Is that how you say that? I know I've seen her in chat before.
Nick would probably say Jodi Snitka. No, that's Norwegian.
If you say so. It all sounds like gibberish to me.
Yeah, well, most American sounds like gibberish to you as well.
My wife defaults to Swedish when she's like mad, and she's always yelling at the little cat because it's, messing with the other cats or messing with the flower pot or something. And she always resorts to Swedish when she's yelling at the animals. And I have no idea what she says, but it sounds mean and scary. So I listen. Everyone's a winner.
Ghosty, I deciphered it with only looking at the runes. So, what is Jodi Snitka? It's probably a name.
I would say
it's probably Swedish. Doesn't make sense, like Sweden.
Well, thank you very much, Baker, for joining us on this wonderful Jodi Day. I have adjourned the Georgia v. Hannah Payne, is it? Yeah, Hannah Payne.
Hannah Payne.
Yeah, I've adjourned my stream until 3:30. I'm wondering if we're going to actually go at 4. So I'm going to get an update on that. And if we are going to go, I'm going to keep it at 3:30. If it gets moved, if you guys see that it's moved, by the way, you're going to be redirected there. So hit the notification. And I'm not going to cancel it. I'm just going to keep moving it. So when it goes live, if you've hit the notification button, you will you'll be notified. Better than if you just subscribe to my channel and ask for notifications. You have packages from Amazon on the way. All right. And Nick is going to be streaming as well. I can't set up a redirect for Nick's channel. So I don't know where you're going to go after this if you're watching on Nick's stream. But Nick does have a stream later with Young Thugs, day 22.
6 p.m. I think it's set for.
Okay. So if
Close
the Georgia
6.
case goes, we're probably easily going to be done with that. And then I'll just redirect you guys over to Nick. I'm hoping they go live with something today, even if it's just like jury instructions or something. At least we can know the case is moving along. And then, Baker, you're going to put a link up for tomorrow morning?
I'm going to put a link up tomorrow morning, and I might be a little late because I have court. It's just a sentencing, so I shouldn't be late, but we'll start late in court, so I should be home. I don't know what time they start going, but roughly 9 or 10 a.m. I will start up.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. And I have Baker's Media Pass all ready to go. So that will get processed and shipped out. Be good times.
I'll go use that everywhere, say.
Media Pass. Well, Gosney's got one. I don't know if he's ever used it, but he has definitely showed it off a little bit. So you can show yours off.
Yeah, I just put it on Tinder and say I'm kind of a big deal.
That's right. Well, you're welcome, Moni Mani. Anytime. I'm kind of glad the Georgia case got pushed out and we could enjoy Jodi a little bit longer than we usually do today. And with Nick working, he's not, saying we gotta end so I can get back to my other streams. So it was good. It worked out. And now I'm gonna go back to work and
I'm gonna go watch some handball and enjoy. Oh, tomorrow at 8 p.m. I will have Tom CPU on and talk about the Karen Reed, probably the Canton 9 as well. And it will be a Q&A stream if you have any questions about what's going on at those two things. Maybe a little Turtle Boy as well.
Did you see the news article last night? This news story on Fox 25?
Yeah, that the Fed looking into the police.
Yeah. And apparently it started before the defense even raised any issues.
Yeah. So that's, I was thinking about playing that tomorrow when Tom is on.
The DA apparently has sent a private letter to the Attorney General's office saying that they need to stop their investigation, and especially from the Massachusetts office, which is just, let's assume that there's conflicts there, and let's assume that the prior DA had all of her scandals and left. There's so much corruption. We have corrupt individuals investigating other corrupt individuals, and it's just all kinds of BS. But the fact that they had to send a private letter, or thought it was necessary for the Massachusetts prosecutor to send a private letter to the Attorney General's office asking them to stop their investigation, is, I don't know, it's very telling to me. And if you're unwilling to share that letter, it's even more telling.
Yeah, and this entire case is just it's getting more and more bizarre with the way they are using the police to I don't know if you read about the Canton 9, the protesters. They are threatening with lawsuits now because they demonstrated where potential jurors could see them.
Yeah,
or where potential witnesses could be. So that's witness intimidation.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but how the F did the judge do it with Turtle Boy? You saw the evidence they brought. There's no evidence that should make a normal judge rule the way he did.
Yeah. You have to really interpret it with the broadest possible strokes. And when you start doing that, though, you start running afoul of the First Amendment, which is the problem that I've always seen with that particular case. And it's just amazing to me that some judges are willing to paint that broad unless they're constrained somehow. You can make up your own decision and say, you make up your own mind and say, listen, I think this infringes on the First Amendment. I'm not going to sign off on this or authorize this, or I'm going to, in fact, discharge or dismiss this case. This judge is unwilling to, and it astonishes me that lower court judges are so unwilling to make decisions.
Yeah, and again, I don't know any American laws because I'm not a lawyer and I don't live in America, but it seems to me one of the things we are always told about America is we have the First Amendment that's unique in the world, and unless you have black clothes and piercings all over your body, you kind of lost your First Amendment the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Especially, you say what you want about Turtle Boy, right? You can maybe make the argument for Turtle Boy, which I have said since day one. But those protesters on the street, absolutely not. They're literally protesters on the street. You can't make that argument for them. Unless you want to show that they were like pounding on the glass outside of his office window, you know, or something like that. They weren't. They were literally standing on a sidewalk with picket signs. I don't know how you can get more First Amendment than that.
They were standing on a bridge and the police came up and threatened them. It's when you see what's been going on all over the Western world the last 3 months, no, not 2 months, with protests. And that's okay because we have a right to protest all over the world. And the things that have been said in some of those protests, and then you compare it to 10 people standing on an overpass with a sign saying free somebody.
Well, you know the difference. The difference is the political position that you have. If you're going against the state's narrative, then you're a criminal. if you're in favor of the state's narrative, then you're fine. Totally Pip wants an update on the Crumblies. So the case is still bifurcated. One of the two, I'm not sure which one yet, is going to start on January 23rd. Ethan Crumbly, the shooter, is going to be sentenced on Friday. I will cover that live. And then there's been a motion filed by Jennifer Crumbly to exclude the evidence regarding Ethan apparently killed a bird or kept a dead bird, did something like this, and may or may not have taken pictures of it. But she's asking that evidence be excluded from her trial and not used against her because she didn't know about it. And nobody has said that she knew about it. The state doesn't even say that she knew about it. So they're trying to get that excluded. They don't want that used in her trial, which I believe is appropriate. But that's the latest on the Crumblies. And then also Wednesday, tomorrow night at 7 p.m., I'm going to be doing my legal news update stream that I've started to do. It's members only. So you can check it out if you're a member. After the stream is live, I will then turn it to public so everyone can see it. But if you want to engage and chat away and ask questions and open forum kind of thing, you need to be a member of MLS. But that is going to happen Wednesday. So that's about all I have coming up. And then, Valhalla and I's Lego stream on Saturday. And then Friday, Zachariah Anderson. Geez, I have a lot coming up, actually. So Friday night is Zachariah Anderson. We're going to do a grift stream for his account.
Next Saturday for your Lego stream. It's the 16th, right?
Oh, it's the 16th. I'm sorry. Yes. This coming Friday is Zachariah Anderson. Yeah, see.
Streaming with Dave is very close to streaming with the expert. You have to make sure you know all of his appointments.
Well, Baker knows the Lego stream because he desperately wants to be back on it. I'm going to get you back on it. I know. I saw your stream. Was it yesterday? And you were pulling up all three of your Lego sets. I know. Well, I know. One day they'll have me back on. Look, I got all my sets.
Look, the new Dr. Jones.
Ooh, I like that. Is there a time machine in there too?
No, it's not from the crappy new movie. It's from the third one.
Oh, okay. All right. So we have his father there. Nice.
Yeah.
The Last Crusade.
It's pretty cool.
Legos. Yes, Legos. And that's with me and Valhalla on the 16th. But this Friday, don't forget, we're going to stream an A&E story covering the Zachariah Anderson case. I imagine they're going to get everything wrong, and we're going to follow right along and show how they get everything wrong. So that's going to start on YouTube and then eventually work its way over to Rumble once the show goes live, because YouTube will eat me immediately. So that's what we have coming up this week. And then Baker, of course, will have his Stabber Days, right?
Yeah, this Saturday I will. Next Saturday I will be at my daughter's.
Oh, well, you have fun with that.
Yeah,
you can watch my Lego stream on Saturday instead of Stabber Days.
Well, I'll be home at time for the Lego stream because you stream at night, and
that's true.
Time to do it.
I have not started pre-building. I never pre-build. Valhalla does, but I don't. All right. On that note, we'll leave you guys. You'll be, like I said, you'll be redirected to my Georgia stream. Just click the notification so that when I do go live in a few hours, you guys will get the notification. So everyone, have a good rest of your day. Bye.